Hello everyone. Today I'm going to go over some tips for submitting a successful researched argument paper. So by this point, you have already dove into your rough draft, you have done some peer review with your fellow students, and now you're kind of bringing it across the finish line. I just want to take a moment to go over some of the tips that I gave you a couple of weeks ago, while also asking you to review some other points before you turn the paper in. So to review, I want to make sure that you're first off making sure that you have an argument within your statement. Make sure you're fighting for a side. Your researched argument paper should have an argument in it. If you look at your thesis statement and you find that your thesis statement is not taking a firm side or firm argument for something or against something, then you might be doing something wrong. In this case, reach out to me. Ask me a couple of questions if you're confused. Next step, make sure that your paper is the correct length. Make sure that you have a works cited page. The works cited is not the annotated bibliography. Those are two different types of documents. An annotated bibliography is considered a bibliography that has notes with it. A works cited is a list of research items that you've actually used to create your paper. So you also want to make sure that you're not using your works cited page to count towards the minimum required pages for your paper. And this is a rough outline for your paper that I'm sure you used in the beginning. Go back through your paper. If you're having difficulty making sure that you're meeting the minimum length requirement, go back through and make sure that you have enough paragraphs supporting each of your 3 points. Go back through and make sure if, for instance, you're half a page short and you only have 1 paragraph for your counterpoint or your counter argument, add in 2 paragraphs for that. And I know it's easy enough for me to say it, and it can be a little bit difficult for you to do that, but try to just take a break, drink a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, go look at your paper, find a couple of spots where you can add in. Look at these, this for instance, see if all of this is well developed, and if it's not, just kind of, use an ink pen and print out your draft or mark it in there with the highlighting function in your document as it is right here online or on the computer, excuse me, and go back in and add things as best as you can. One of the reasons that we ask you to continue writing papers when you feel like you've reached your limit in English composition courses and in other courses too, I imagine, is because something quite wonderful happens with students when you push them out of their shells. You begin to write things that are quite great, actually, at times in this process. And that's why you're often given a page limit that, you could probably write everything that you need to in 4 pages, quite honestly. But we give you the 6 pages. Those extra 2 pages are meant to push you to consider other things and ideas, concepts, examples. It's meant to push you to think more and put those thoughts and concepts into words. And it's a form of acceptable academic rambling, if you will, just like this is. Moving on, let's take a look at the rubric for this assignment. Rubrics are awesome because they tell you exactly how I'm grading the assignment. For this assignment, 25 points out of 100 is focused on your ability to articulate the argument or the thesis statement correctly within this paper. That's it. The introduction part there counts also as well, but really what I'm looking for here is that you have a nicely cultivated thesis statement with your 3 supporting points. 15 points counts for the 3 supporting points individually here. And do they support your argument? So this is the whole, and these are the 3 little points individually and how well they are suited to your argument. For this section, I'm looking for your use of ethos, pathos, and logos to illustrate your argument and to show that it's rhetorically complex. And you can also see here below, if you've included somewhat, of a discussion of this, you'll get some points, so you don't miss out entirely. But if you don't include anything at all, you get a 0 on this section. Does the paper include a counterclaim or counter-argument? So that's worth 15 points as well. And then also, I'm looking to see that your paper can obviously pass the reasonable sentence level control and syntax grammar competency gamut here. And that'll count for 10 points as well. And 10 points, remember, that's 10% of your paper, so that's quite a bit. So be sure to run your spell check and look over your paper. Generally, just give it a gut check there too to make sure that you're using your words correctly. In-text citations and your and your contents for your works cited. You want to make sure that you're properly citing your sources in text, and you also need to have a works cited page. You need to have at least 5 sources. Make sure these 5 sources are listed in alphabetical order. That is per MLA guidelines. That's been one of the MLA guidelines for quite some time. I'm not a devil for details with all of this necessarily. In everything doesn't have to be down to the wire with MLA, but it does have to be in alphabetical order by the author's last name. So if I specifically ask for something in here, have it. So you have this available for a while, but make sure you review it. Last but not least, you've seen this little guy before. He's the works cited page. This one looks a little bit better than the one that I initially posted to Facebook. I think there was one hanging out here and one going out there. And you know what? If you turn in something where there's a little bit of formatting problem, I don't usually have a problem with that if there's a little mistake here or there. But I do want to see that they're in alphabetical order by last name. I want to see that you've at least made an attempt to do MLA here. When you go into future classes, you need to find out what the professor wants to see when you cite your sources. Some professors are sticklers. They want everything MLA by the book or APA or Chicago. It depends on which class you're in or if you're in a psychology course or which college it is. But make sure you know what each course wants. You know what I want. And this is it. If you're looking over the assignment sheet through this video or the rubric and you come across any questions, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Happy writing and revising.